I'm coming. Yes, good afternoon. Welcome to today's class. We shall continue from where we stopped, and we are going into the literary analysis of August Wilson's Fences. The last time I told you that Fences was written by August Wilson and published in 1983, and we've discussed extensively about the plot. We've talked about the settings. We've discussed the characters. So today, let's move on to this play won the Pulitzer Prize. The play won the Pulitzer Prize. I don't know the year, but this play is an award-winning book. I've forgotten the year exactly. So Fences was Fences addresses the theme of racism. It addresses the theme of class struggles. It addresses the theme of suppression and fairness in life. So Wilson aims to appeal to American audience about these issues so that they can gain more knowledge about their history and culture, and how perspectives about racism have changed since. Racism of the 1920s, 1910s can't be the same as the one we have in the 50s. The one we have in the 70s can't be the same we have in the 80s. So this book is a kind of, this drama text, creates an awareness to those who have whose minds are dead, literally, whose minds are dead to the realities that is on ground at the moment when the play was written. So to someone like Troy, who, because of what happened during his own young age, which hindered him from being able to play baseball, he had this same standard in his mind that, oh, my son will not play football and have his dream aborted, his dream and passion for playing football aborted because of the color of his skin. Now let's talk about the historical significance. After the Civil War, American Civil War, baseball was popular sport for both African Americans and the white people. But there was a gentleman's agreement. Between the team owners then. So which band Africans are Africans, or let me say the blacks. Let's just call it the black. African American is an euphemism. A black is a black person. A black man is a black man. So which prevented the black man from what? From playing in the major leagues. So later years, which they called the Negro National League. So through this league, lots of talent were shown, but then who was sponsored? No sponsorship per se, poor salaries or no salaries at all. Until so many years after, when black people, some black players, notable black players, were able to fight their way through, and they were able to play in the white leagues. So some of the players that did this was Jackie Robinson, and there is this similar scenario I watched in a film. There is this I watched in it. I can't remember the title. Oh, my brother isn't remember the title. It was released maybe 4 years or 3 years ago, he should still remember. He so much loved the film. The film, maybe some of you might have watched it if you watch films a lot too, like I do films though. It was about a baseball player too, who found himself in prison for 7 years. How did he get into prison? He was accused, a lady accused him of rape, and he was sentenced. And he never raped the lady. So, but at least he was sentenced. He was in prison for 7-8 years, and by the time he had to fight his way through with the help of some white lawyers and the likes. He fought his way through, and eventually he regained his. Eventually, he regained his freedom. And when he regained his freedom, he was already old. By the time he regained his freedom, someone who has been battling with all this mess since he was around, let's say, 15. By the time he was able to clear his name, regain his freedom, and he was no longer a convict, he was already 29. So no club was actually ready to take him on trial then again. But after, what do we call they call it trial. After having trials with some 2-3 baseball clubs, he eventually had the opportunity of playing in one, and he played for less than 2 years. He was already old. That's the case. So these allowed other African footballer players to follow in the footsteps of Jackie Robinson. So Jackie Robinson is important in the play because the story is similar to Corey, who is also an African American and received the scholarship. Also, another significance we should note is what is the cultural significance. So another major theme explored in this play is in between the generation gap and racism. So Troy lived in the era where slavery still existed. He lived in the era when slavery still existed. So Troy's mind is still filled with the idea that racism is still widely in existence. And as a Black person, his past was filled with the Jim Crow's laws and segregation, which stopped him from receiving proper education. The proper education that will eventually made him to sign Gabriel's paper. He accidentally signed the paper. So like some of the parents that some of us have now. Some of the parents that we have, they can't read, neither can they write. The only thing they can do, even though they have bank accounts, you just tell them, oh yeah, sign in this place. And they'll just write one big zero, one big zero, bam, bam. Or you just teach them to write the first 3 letters of their name. They write the first 3 letters of their name. Some of our parents who did not receive basic education, some can read, but as a result of time, some were able to speak English, let's say mixed English or broken English. Broken English is different from pidgin English, though. So that's the cultural significance to this. So Troy, because he couldn't receive proper education, he went to jail. When he got out, he could not make a living through his natural talent and the skill of playing football. Why? He was a convict and he was already old. So he was labeled as a middle-aged man who just got out of jail. So because of his dark past, he is unable to adapt to the changes around him, which leads him to think that his son, Corey, will end up living the same life and experiencing the same prejudices, the same racially biased life that he led. Now let's consider the thing is we can't exhaust this. there is racial, there is segregation and racial bias. And references can be made to Troy and Bono's past, Troy and Bono's present, Troy as Bono's present, Troy's experience at his workplace. When Troy told his co-worker Bono that he had questioned his boss on the fact that why can't African Americans be allowed to drive like the white? Why should they be allowed to only do the heavy lifting? We can also see the racial bias that is there in that wise. Another theme is ambitions and goals. So Fences explores, please kindly remind me the significant, okay, maybe when we get to symbols and motives, we'll talk about Fences deeply. So when we talk about the themes of ambitions and goals, Fences explores the forms of characters, goals, and dream. Everyone has their different goal. Leon wanted to become a superstar jazz musician. Troy wanted to become a baseball player, but he couldn't. No education. He was also jailed. Corey wanted to become a baseball player. Rose also had this dream that she wanted Troy to build a fence around their compound, around the house. And this, we will go on to discuss what this fence would symbolize. So that was Troy's, that was Rose's dream. Build a fence for me. I want you to build a fence for me. I want you I just want to get close to my family and my family alone. So that was Rose's dream too. So throughout the play, our dream was that Troy should build her a fence, as she believed that it would also give her protection. So she represents the ideal goal of a mother and a wife. So nevertheless, she is also unable to reach this goal. And the only person, I think no one was able to reach, because by the time, okay, let me say, Rose was able to achieve her goal, but it came in with something else. She had a stepdaughter to take care of. Troy eventually built the fence. But by the time he would build the fence, he already had these extramarital affairs with Alberta. So another theme is the theme of responsibility. So Troy spends a lot of time talking about the importance of responsibility. In fact, I would admonish you, if you can't read the text, just go and watch the film. It's like almost 3 hours, I think. Almost 3 hours. Go and watch the film, Fences, acted by Denzel Washington and is it Ruby Rose, or what? I've forgotten the woman that acted as Rose. I've forgotten. So because Troy will spend a lot of time talking about the importance of responsibility, especially to his 2 sons. He will tell Corey, he will tell Leon, quit this music of a thing and stop begging. Go and get a job. Take responsibility for your life. You're already married. Your wife shouldn't be the one. Your wife shouldn't be the one working. Why you'll be playing around and you still be and you still remain broke. So he wants the son, Leon. He wants the son Corey to also take. He wants him to also take responsibility and be dedicated. to work hard and provide for, and to provide, help cater for the family. And his disapproval of Corey playing football also showed that he is blinded by his past. Aha, let me put it that way. He is blinded by his past, and being blinded by his past makes him an irresponsible father because he failed in his duty of supporting his son's dream. It is right. It is rightful for a father to help shape the child's dream, not to kill the child's dream. I believe you get that. You can advise the child, you can admonish the child, do this, do that. But when you are haunted by someone who is haunted by his past, there is no way you can help the person. Needs to heal. The person needs to heal and recover from the trauma which they find themselves before they will be able to love, before they will be able to be responsible, before they would be able to let other people around them enjoy and have freedom for themselves. For example, again, when he uses Gabriel's brain injury money to buy a house, and again, when he uses Gabriel's institution money to pay for his own expenses, it is also clear that Troy is not a responsible caretaker for his brother. And his relationship with Alberta show that he is not irresponsible to his wife. Breached his relationship. Okay, you are back now. All right. So let's talk about motives now. We all know what motives are. Motives are recurring ideas. Yes, that's the simplest definition of a motive. Recurring idea. A theme is an idea, but the motive is a recurring idea, something that keeps recurring. So motives are devices or structures. It could be an event, it could be a person, it could be a thing, it could be a phrase, it could be a word, it could be anything. So motives are devices or structures that are used by artists to help in the development of a team. So one of the motives is conflict between the father and the son. I won't be discussing that again. The conflict between the father and the son, there are all these disagreements that do happen between him and Lion. That's a minor conflict. But the major conflict was that which he had with his son, with Corey. And it's also conflict he had with his own father too. He left home too. His son also left home too. So it recalled the conflict between father and son recalled twice. So Troy's inability to adapt to change and put his own feeling aside damaged his relationship with Corey. And in fact, Corey does not even want to attend his funeral. But he eventually came. Another thing was the affair. The author also uses Troy's affair with Alberta to provide insight into his character. So the affair led to a lot of consequences, no doubt. The affair showed us that Troy is notable as he does not think it through, because if it through, he won't get into a relationship. And when he was admitting, or let me say confessing to his wife, their argument, I want you to read about that, their argument, their position, their different position as to why he had committed, as to why he had committed what he had done. He was querying his wife as to the reason why the argument that ensued between them. The wife was like, I've sacrificed a lot in this relationship. Troy was like, I've sacrificed too. That means that Troy had no choice. Troy put himself in a position that he had no what? He had no choice. That he has been in love with Rose because he had no choice. And there is little comfort in his life. He has a house, he has a roof on his head, he has a job, he's now a driver, he has been promoted. Congrats to him. He believes that now, since he has little money, he should be able to express or do some things that he loves or he would like to do. So there's this popular saying that a poor man uses another person's character, or a poor man's character is never is. So that when someone is poor and he behaves gently and calmly, responsibly, that's not the person's true character. That his true character comes when he becomes rich, when he has everything he ever dreams of. That the way he would behave then is actually his true character. That the character a man uses when he's poor is just a camouflage. So this affair destroyed his relationship with Bono. Bono was definitely be unable to come around. It's like you having a friend engages in bad things, or in bad acts, and you still want to walk or move around with that person. When people see you together, they believe that birds of same feather flock together. They believe that you do the same thing too. So that's why you would want to be careful about the people you have dealings with. So it destroys his relationship with Bono, destroys his relationship with Corey, it destroys his relationship with Rose. That's another motive. Now let's talk about symbols. Symbols are objects or figures that artists use in represent an idea. So one of the symbols used in this text is sport. And which two sports are dominant? Which two they talk about in this text? The two sports that is talked about is baseball and football. So through this play, sport symbolizes a lot of things. Sport represents injustice. It talks about freedom. It talks baseball player. His dream of becoming of being part of a major league was not achieved, either because of his skin color, or because of his age, or because of his conviction, or maybe because of all these points. So it's just because of their skin color, and injustice in the sense that they were unable to receive equal opportunities. They were unable to receive equal treatment, no freedom. So for Corey, however, football is a beacon of hope. Football is something he believes will give him what? He believes will give him hope. So he was almost recruited to be eligible for a football scholarship in college, but his father didn't sign. Now let's talk about fences. So fences represent different things. That's why I said we should take our time to do this. Fences literally, or fences connotatively, fences connotes a barrier. Let's put it that way. You know, two houses and there is a fence in between. A barrier, right? A boundary, setting of boundary. But denotatively, fences symbolizes something else for Troy. And fences symbolizes something else for Rose. It means different things for both. Rose wants to build a fence because she loves her family, and she thinks that this fence could offer her protection and bring her family together. It is her goal to live a simple and happy life. Sorry, she doesn't want problem at all. She wanted to be surrounded by the people that she loved, by her family. However, Troy and Corey do not understand our need to build a fence. It took a very long time. Like, why should we build a fence? And it's not a fence with brick. It's a fence that will be built with wood. You know, that's how they build the fences in that part where they live. So it was like, why should we? They were wondering that why do they need a fence? However, in fact, for Troy, fence is a way of keeping things out in his case. And what he intends to keep out is death. So by the time you read this text, by the time you read this drama text, you will discover that Troy Troy made lots and lots of references to death, about how it will kill, how he had survived death, and how death is even scared of attacking, of killing him. That death is afraid of him. Ironically, he died of heart attack. And when he goes haywire, when something happens and he gets temperamental, what does he do? He opens his window, he rushes out, he either looks out from the window or he comes outside and he looks to the sky and he starts shouting, death should come and fight him again. So there is, in fact, the beginning of this play, if I remember, you will enjoy the play a lot when you read it. The beginning of this play, he was boasting to his friend Bono of his encounter with death, how he scared death, and he described death, and his description of death looks like this KKK, the clan clocks, the KKK clan, and the KKKs are the white. Let me call it a white cult. Yes, it's a white cult. Don't let me call it. That is what it is. It's a white cult. So he believes that death is like a wild cult that will come to attack him, and how we had escaped it. Not all. Don't let me say we all. That would be fallacious. That would be fallacious to say. At least some people, some of us, we all have moments where we escaped death. We all should have at least maybe one that you just wonder, like, at this point in time, I'm no longer supposed to exist. I ought to, you bring back memories like that. 2012, something like happened, blah 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 happened. I managed to escape. The car somersaulted 20 times. So that was the similar scenario then, and that is basically all. I don't think there is anything we are yet to I don't think there's anything we are yet to cover about this text, but I'll leave you to some questions. I'll leave you to 5 questions which I want you to find answers to. I will leave you to 5 questions that I want you to find answers to. 1, why does Gabriel prefer to live with Miss Pearl? What does this say about his relationship with Troy? Why does Gabriel prefer to live with Miss Pearl? And what does this say about his relationship with Troy? Now, question 2, why does Rose not ask Troy for a divorce, even when she found out about the affair and realizes that their relationship is failing? Why does Rose not ask Troy for a divorce? So these are questions you can't answer unless you read the text. So why does Rose not ask Troy for a divorce, even though she found out that he found out about the affair and realizes that their relationship is failing? If you're able to answer this question, you have a very perfect understanding of the text, I can say. Number 3, why is Leon so insistent on being a musician, even though he hasn't been able to successfully? He hasn't been able to be successful for so long. Why is Leon so insistent? Why is Leon so adamant of? What was his reasons? What does he say? That why does he insist on being a musician, even though he hasn't been successful with it for so long? Question 4, what is the significance of Corey's desire to buy a television? Aha! What is the significance of Corey's desire to buy a television? And question 5, why does Troy's boss, Rand, decide to give him the promotion? How does this change the audience perception of Troy? Why does Troy's boss, his boss name was Rand, why does his boss, Rand, decide to give him the promotion? And how does this change the audience's perception of Troy? Now, let me add one simple question to it. Give an account of Corey's fight, or give an account of the incidences that led to Corey's fight with his father. Give an account of the incidences that led to his fight with his father. I told you in the text there are 2 acts, and Act 1 there are 4 scenes. Act 2, Allah. Act 2 there are 5 scenes. How many more minutes do we have, Mr. Jason?
You have about 5 more minutes.
5. I'm exhausted. Okay. Okay. Now let's look at some basic things. Some basic things you should get familiar with in the text. You might want to know. 1, Troy and Bono are sanitation workers. Note that. 2, when they ask you where did Troy and Bono meet, they met in the jail. They met in the jail. That was where they meet. Another thing you should note, when they ask where Bono and Troy met Alberta, they met at the tailors. And when you are asked that, what was Corey supposed to do after school? Corey was supposed to go to A&P supermarket, but he do avoid the place and he would go for football trainings. The mother has no issue with it. It was only the father that was insistent that he shouldn't play football and he should only go to the A&P supermarket to work. What kind of music does Leon play? Leon plays soul music. And what kind of sport did Troy play? Troy played baseball. His son played football. And what led to Corey's first fight with his Troy? That was when Troy grabbed Rose's hand. There was an argument, and Royce and Troy grabs Rose's hand, and Corey wanted to be his mom's hero. He stopped the father, and there was a fight between the two of them. Fences began in 1950s, but this portion that we read, titled Fences, rather, was published in 1983. I think that is where we will be ending. That is where we will be ending today's class, and subsequently in our next class, I hope we will be able to look into a non-African prose. We have the option of Wuthering Heights, a classical Gothic novel, and Invisible Man. So I would prepare for both, and in our next class, I would expect you to tell me which one you want us to treat. I enjoy both. I love both. I read both, and I've read both more than 3 times or 4 times each. They are classical books. So Wuthering Heights is a Gothic novel. It talks about it's a classic on love, it's a classic on romance, it's a classic on horror, it's a classic on adventure. While Invisible Man by Ralph Ellison talks about racial segregation of a man who was so racially violated that in his mind, he believed that he became invisible, that people no longer see him, people no longer relate with him. So he decided to isolate himself from the world, So in our next class, I would expect you to read summary about both, and we would be able to discuss one of it. Hopefully we will be able to have 2 sessions too in the next class, so that we can cater for it. And after that, subsequently we'll look into the remaining poems we are yet to treat. And upon the event of finishing these poems, then we will be able to consider looking into the other texts that we are yet to treat. And for now, that will be the end of this session. I wish you all best of luck.